if I answer that question you keep asking, if I give you the name of the big enchilada, you know, then it's Bon Voyage Dino. I mean like permanent. I mean like a bullet in my head, you dig? Does that help you see my problem a little better?
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flash of light in the bushes, and then shots rang out.
No cloak and dagger stuff, you know. They called it Operation Mongoose.
It's gonna be okay, Dave. You just talk to us on the record and we'll protect you. Now, I guarantee it.
You're so naive.
We found this in your office. We think the conference room is also bugged, maybe the phones.
I'm not cooperating here. Listen, there's a death warrant for me.
Are the same people gonna kill us, Pop?
Nobody's gonna kill us. Y'all gotta get into your minds how the hell the spooks think. Now, they're not ordinary crooks. Think the unthinkable. Question everything. Now, we're through the looking glass here, people. White is black, and black is white. You don't believe me? All this time, you never believed me.
I just want to raise our children and live a normal life. I want my life back.
Look, this thing's bigger than all of us.
Now, how many corpses is it gonna take for you lawyers to figure out what you want? People got to know. People got to know why he was killed.
You know what you done to me? I'm a dead man!
Well, if they can kill the president, they can certainly get me.
You're a mouse fighting a gorilla.
You're close. You're closer than you think.
There's going to be an attempt to kill you somewhere between here and New Orleans.
I say let justice be done or the heavens fall.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and we're through the looking glass here, people. White is black. Black is white. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
Back and to the left. Back and to the left. That's one magic loogie.
If you don't like morbid humor, this episode may not be for you.
Yes.
We are dorking out about 1991's JFK because before there were anti-vaxxers, before the 2020 election deniers, our favorite conspiracy theories were about UFOs and the assassination of JFK. It's also the 60th anniversary. It feels weird to say anniversary. It's like it's something we should celebrate, but
right.
It's the 60th anniversary of when JFK was assassinated. So Margot, I should say, has really been watching all the documentaries. I start them and I don't finish them. Sorry, everybody. This movie is directed by Oliver Stone. It's written by Oliver Stone and Zachary Sklar. It's based on the books On the Trail of the Assassins by Jim Garrison and Crossfire, The Plot That Killed Kennedy by Jim Mars. And there's a lot of people in this movie. I'll just hit some highlights here. Kevin Costner, Kevin Bacon, Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Oldman, Michael Rooker, Laurie Metcalf, Sissy Spacek in the thankless role of nagging wife, Joe Pesci, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, Ed Asner, Donald Sutherland, John Candy. Oh my God, so many people. So many people. Okay. And Martin Sheen does some narrating at the beginning, and then I don't think we get any more narration after that, if I remember correctly. It's, Margot, did you see this movie in the theater?
Yes, I did. And it was during Christmas time, so the whole family went.
Good times.
Yes. And I remember my sister's boyfriend was completely freaked out by it because nowadays, because of YouTube and what we have our phones with us all the time, blah, 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 blah. But you could see images and things, instantly, right? Yes. I had never seen the assassination. I never seen there was a Zapruder film,
right?
Any of that. So it was like really shocking to watch.
Yeah. And I will say that even after Watergate, people were still a little trusting of the government. Not like now where we just think everything's a conspiracy. No, there's like no trust anymore. But even in the 90s, we were still like, come on, that's a lot. But it makes a convincing argument, that's for sure. I definitely saw this in the theater. It was probably one of my favorite movies that year. I used to make top 10 lists every year, and JFK definitely would have been on it. My favorite would have been still Silence of the Lambs, but it would have been on the list. I rewatched this again recently because I saw Oppenheimer in the theater, and when I saw Oppenheimer, it kind of reminded me of JFK because it's like
it had all the laughs of JFK.
It was just as funny as JFK. Look, a lot of people really, really love Oppenheimer and think it's like a really great movie. I'm not there yet. When I watched it, I felt like this was a messy movie about capital I important things with awesome actors in every role, and that reminded me of JFK. I feel like if I maybe saw Oppenheimer again, I might like it a little bit more, but
I'll tell you my Oppenheimer story when we get to our recommendations.
Okay. I just felt like sometimes Oppenheimer was all right. I'll just be honest. I felt like sometimes it was a little up its own ass, and
very much.
And I think that JFK can be like that as well. I think both of them have really great performances, and they have a very interesting story. And sometimes I feel like the directing gets in the way, though, of the story. And so that's why it reminded me of Oppenheimer. So I watched it a couple months ago. So now this is the second time I've watched JFK in the last couple months, which is the most I've watched it probably since it played in the theater.
Right.
But I mean, who am I to judge this movie? It made $200 million and it got 8 Oscar nominations. So maybe it did something right, if that's how we like to judge movies. Should we just start at the beginning and ask the big question? Do you think that this movie's onto something?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I don't think I'm one to believe conspiracies, but I'm like, I can't comprehend that Lee Harvey Oswald was able to pull off all those shots. It's just,
right.
That seems, don't most people probably think that? I don't know.
Most people believe there's some kind of a conspiracy,
yeah.
Whether it was a mob hit or it was the government. I mean, most people, I think. My brother Joe was a hardliner, no. Single shooter theory. And he was really into the Kennedy books, got them all.
Yeah.
He had the one that was by Bugliosi, who was the L.A., he was the district attorney that convicted Charles Manson.
Yeah.
He wrote a book, and it was like 20 hours, an audiobook.
Oh, shit. That's like Barbara Streisand level.
Oh, it's Streisand level, yeah. And my brother drove across Texas listening to it. He was a very intense guy.
Wow.
Yeah, but he was very much convinced, like, no, there's I mean, as messy as life is and all these, it can actually make sense that, and I do believe one person can make a huge difference in a horrible way and in a wonderful way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think they make really good cases, especially when the Vietnam War changed everything.
Yes.
And I think for the worse.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, I'm not someone who tends to believe conspiracy theories, and I find it hard to believe that a bunch of people in the government could keep any kind of secret. So I don't know.
No one can keep a secret. Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not like, and it was totally the government, but I don't believe that the one shooter theory. But what do I know? I'm just a lady, just a nice lady living in San Francisco. Do you think that JFK, this assassination, is like one of the things that got so many people into true crime? Yeah,
it's the first murder committed on television, I believe.
Yeah.
that would be Lee Harvey Oswald being shot by Jack Ruby. I think, this then came, after this came this, the 60s really started hitting, and then it was the 70s. And then, like you said, it's UFOs and Sasquatch, the moon landing. Like, there's all ripe for, conspiracies, because we were like, what the hell else can the government do? They, that we don't know about or that we can't stop.
The Bigfoot conspiracy theories are my favorite. They're my favorite.
My brother was convinced Bigfoot was real.
That's
my other brother, by the way.
I also know someone who 100% believes Bigfoot is real. And I was like, that is ridiculous. That is not a thing. My dad hunts all the time. I'm like, you ever see any thing that makes you think Bigfoot's out there? And he's like, why would you ask me that? That's stupid. I love that it's a thing. I went up north recently and they sell Bigfoot merchandise like everywhere. People love to talk about Bigfoot. It's a thing. Where's that Oliver Stone movie?
That would be hilarious. John Candy in a bear suit. I'll say cock-a-doodle-doo on your head.
Oh my God, that would be so. I would love to see an Oliver Stone style movie about Bigfoot and all the different footage and like the editing. Oh my God, it would be so good. Please don't make it 3 hours long.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into it. Of course, we're just gonna go through it, but it'll be kind of hard to keep track of. I'm still not convinced I understand everything that's happening in this movie.
No, it is a 16-minute speech by Donald Sutherland, which is the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah.
The most interesting, and I still don't know what the hell he's talking about. I lose every time. And I've got the captions and everything.
Yes.
Like, wait, what?
Yes. Yeah. I'm sitting here watching the movie. I have the subtitles on. I have my laptop open because I'm taking notes, and I'm still like, nah, I got nothing. I don't know. I do want to say, I think Kevin Costner is the perfect person to cast.
Yes.
He is basically playing Elliot Ness again from The Untouchables. Like, he is such a Boy Scout.
Yes, and it's believable.
It's totally believable. Costner was like, this was like peak Costner too. This was like right after Dances with Wolves, like after Bull Durham. Like, I think Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came out the same year. Like, Costner was still, like, people now are like, Costner's kind of a square. Like, he was not square. He was like a huge fucking movie star at this point.
Yeah.
And he's perfectly cast in this. I'm like, how should we even get into this? Should we just go through all the different people, I guess? I'm like...
I don't know. This is your show, Sonia. I don't envy you.
Okay, it opens like with Martin Sheen giving us like a history lesson of like Kennedy is now the president. They give us some oversight into like the Bay of Pigs invasion, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and how Kennedy doesn't want to go into Vietnam. So all of these things are things they're going to come back to later in the movie. Then JFK is assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. And it's really sad. Like, this is one of those things spoilers, everybody. Sorry. The assassination's really sad. No, like, the footage is, it's fucked up footage. Like, It's really disturbing to watch. It is one of those moments for, like, older generation where they all knew where they were when they heard JFK was killed. This wasn't a thing that happened, where important people were killed like that. After this, it was like RFK and Martin Luther King, and then and Malcolm X, and it starts to feel like the shit starts to just happen all the time. But this wasn't something that happened all the time. So we see, I almost called him Elliot Ness. Kevin Costner's playing Jim Garrison, and he's in his office in New Orleans as the district attorney, and he is learning that JFK has been shot, and everyone's like gathered around TVs and radios everywhere waiting for the news. And of course they're very shocked, and they're all crying. And then it cuts to like totally different people. We get Ed Asner and Jack Lemmon in the prequel to Grumpier Old Men. And they're just like, and Asner like hates Kennedy. He's like, fuck that guy. He deserved it. And Jack Lemmon's like, come on, man. Come on. Like, I don't. And then he just beats the shit out of Jack Lemmon for no reason. Like, you're going through my stuff. And then goodbye. We don't see those characters for a little while again.
There's a lot of cameos in this movie.
Every role has someone that you will recognize. Like, every role. Even like the tiniest little roles. And then we get Gary Oldman is Lee Harvey Oswald. He's really good.
He's great.
He's doing a really good job. And he is quickly arrested, and they like, have him come out and do the perp walk, and then he is like killed in front of everybody on TV by Jack Ruby, who is played by Bill Murray's brother. Brian
Doyle Murray.
Thank you. Is playing Jack Ruby. And then it's like 3 years later. And they show the really sad funeral with like little JFK Jr. like saluting his dad's coffin, which is the fucking saddest thing.
Hey, did you read the trivia that JFK Jr. had a magazine called George? He was trying to a political magazine, and his staff convinced him to do an interview with Oliver Stone. And and Oliver Stone started asking a bunch of questions like, do you really believe it was a single shooter and stuff? And to him, it's like, I don't care. That was my father.
Yeah. That is so interesting. I did not read the trivia for this movie because...
Oh, it takes an hour.
Exactly.
On IMDb. And he said it was like I was William Shatner and he was like a total Trekkie. Like it was very
oh my gosh
the way he behaved. Like
that makes sense.
It's
Oliver Stone. You know what? I maybe I'll just save it for What a Creep. Like Oliver Stone has thoughts and feelings about the Vietnam War for obvious reasons. And I do appreciate that he explores it from all different angles and asks a lot of questions. People should be doing that. I also think he's kind of a creep. And I could that's a very good comparison about like he's William Shatner and he's a Trekkie. Like, because at a certain point you're so immersed in this world that he probably got to a point where he doesn't even see JFK as a person anymore.
Yeah, and that's his dad. That's his father, and it's his earliest memory, and it's to be permanently attached to something like that is, and some people could detach themselves and be more, we see true crime documentaries all the time. Like, sometimes families can talk about it, and sometimes people don't want anything to do with it. Everyone reacts differently, but I think I thought that was a very apt description when he said, he's looking at me like I'm Captain Kirk. Like it was weird.
So that is weird. It's fucking weird. So the movie cuts 3 years later, and I'm just going to start calling them by their actors' names. Kevin Costner, and his team in New Orleans find out that there is a Lee Harvey Oswald connection in their town. And so they're like, we should be on this. We need to dig it up. So they start asking questions. And that's when they cross paths with David Ferry, who is Joe Pesci. And Joe Pesci is doing a thing in this movie. He is.
He's chomping the scenery.
Yeah, he is.
With the rug and the eyebrows.
Oh my God, it's so bananas.
Which is what the person looked like too.
Yes.
So, it's all of a sudden, and then there's Tommy Lee Jones who's being very effete.
Yes.
And he's got a weird wig on and mannerisms, and it's very mincy. Like they're he's the only homosexual in the district. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, there's all kinds of stuff that they're, and it's levels of I'll just say sleaziness sometimes in telling the story.
Yes.
That the storytelling is messy.
Yes.
And we're talking about many different theories and many different people that could have been involved and all kinds of backgrounds and stuff. And I think the editor deserves that Oscar they earned, because there's so much here you're trying to make sense of.
Yeah.
But as an audience member, it's like, am I supposed to be creeped out by these guys because they have orgies or?
Yeah, that's one of the things in the movie that rubs me the wrong way. They hone in on these two people very quickly. Is it homophobia that's driving this? It's only like casually mentioned by Sissy Spacek's character. She plays the wife of Jim Garrison, who says, like, I think you're honing in on these people because they're gay. And then, like, it's a throwaway line. Like, nobody actually seriously thinks that. But I'm like, but did they? Did they, like, hone in on these people because of that? I'm like, maybe.
It was against the law in most places at the time.
Yes.
So yeah, it just to me, and it's a city known for partying. It's a city known for people getting down and having a good time after hours. You can walk around with a drink there, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I should also mention, like, so the Warren Commission report has come out, and it is which is run by a bunch of dudes in the government, including Earl Warren, the Supreme Court Justice, and they are all in on the single shooter theory, and Garrison is not buying it. I do love the scene. He's on a plane, and he's just sitting next to Walter Matthau, who we fucking love Walter Matthau here. Like, we are fans.
Grumpy old man.
Yes. I love Walter Matthau. I always have. I remember I've watched the Odd Couple movie so many times because I think he's so fucking funny in it. But, like, even the way he says thanks, sweetheart, to a flight attendant who brings him a drink, I'm like, you charming motherfucker. I love Walter Matthau. But he plays a senator who he thinks the whole Warren report is crap. He like just, you know, a lot of people are spouting like a shit ton of dialogue in this movie, and he does one of them too. Like he could really shoot all those shots in that amount of time, and blah blah blah, you know, all this stuff. And he gets Garrison thinking. So there's a whole thing about Garrison's like, I'm not buying the Warren report either. So he's starting to dig a little deeper. Then we meet Sissy Spacek, who is in the thankless role of nagging wife, and I'm like, you know, it's just like, I made you a special dinner tonight. You know, I'm trying something new. And I was like, you didn't need Sissy Spacek for this. But that's, again, like,
maybe she wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, and look, it sounds like a lot of people work for scale. And I think they just wanted to be in a film with one another. And they thought, like, you know, Oliver Stone did a ton of research for this. So maybe she really wants the answers. I don't know. It just seems to be like, I said to you, you were texting back and forth. I was like, how many kids did they have? Like,
I said they're like the Duggars. They have like 19 fucking kids or something.
I mean, oh my God. And they're always screaming and yelling. And then she's going to Easter brunch and he's not there. And she's with these screaming children. And it's
like, part of me
in the balls for that.
Part of me has so much sympathy for that character, right? Because she's basically raising kids by herself now, which is probably not what she signed up for, because he's taking on this like really big case. On the other side, I'm like, he's taking on a really big fucking case, and I'm like, could you suck it up for a little while so that he could do this thing? It reminds me of when we talked about The Devil Wears Prada. Like,
oh my God.
And she just needs to do this internship for like a year, and her boyfriend can't fucking hold his shit together for just a little while. And I'm like, how about you just, you know, I don't know, maybe the assassination of the president's a really big fucking deal, and you just try to be a little supportive.
She appears to have staff. I mean,
yes.
So I mean, I know I go back and forth too, but it just seems like these kids scream all the time, so I
Yes.
can understand if she breaks down every once in a while.
I mean, literally at one point, one of the kids says, "Don't you love us anymore?" And I was like, "Fuck me!" Like, and again, like the movie made $200 million and was nominated for a gazillion Academy Awards, and it won stuff, and like far from me to like critique it on that level, but like I'm like, you could also like, or maybe I will, because that's literally what we do on this podcast, but they could have cut all this stuff out and made this movie a little tighter. No offense to Sissy Spacek, she's doing the best she can, but I didn't need this stuff, and I'm not watching this movie for this stuff.
I think that also, James Woods wanted to play Jim Garrison, but he wanted to do more of his home life and his life. And I'm like, I don't care. I get it.
Yeah.
It's going to absorb a lot of time. I know what that looks like.
Yes.
You don't have, it's not new territory.
Exactly.
You can express that pretty quickly in storytelling and just keep going.
Also, I'm really glad they didn't cast James Woods in this, because
fuck that guy.
Yeah, by the way, he's a really good actor. Like, he did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did Salvador for Oliver Stone before this. Like, he's one of those people that he fucking kills it every time, but like, he's a creep, and fuck that guy. So, let's see, where were we? Oh, there's just a lot of stuff about like Oswald was using the same address as the Ed Asner character, and there's a pro-Castro group and an anti-Castro group, and Oswald knows Russian, and there's so much in this movie. I watched it. I read it with subtitles. I took notes. I'm still confused, but
there's so much information.
Yes.
And that's the thing with these conspiracy theories is there is so much information that is dredged up, and they're all treated equally. Like they're all equally important. So you have to know them all. But it's, some of it's sort of like, the shots. And I'm like, he was an expert marksman.
Yeah.
He was. That's like not, I don't know. I mean, but we all have our things.
Yes. And then here's where we start getting like a parade of actors that you love in small parts. So they interview Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon, fucking awesome, always. Like, talking about the Ed Asner character and connecting that character to Pesci and Tommy Lee Jones. Then we get John Candy, John Candy is in a totally different movie. Like, everything is like, you dig Daddy-O? You dig Daddy-O? Daddy-O, Daddy-O. Drink every time he says Daddy-O. You'd be fucking trashed by the end of the scene. I know, I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but it was funny.
But you know what? I want to see his movie.
I would love to see that movie. He was hilarious. Again, I'm not convinced he's supposed to be hilarious, but I love it. We get Kevin Bacon, who I think is really good.
Yeah.
As Willie O'Keefe in this movie. So he is a sex worker who was hired by Tommy Lee Jones' character, and he just happens to hear like all kinds of private conversations, and it's really, there's a scene where he's talking about like basically fascism is coming back, is what he says, and he was not wrong, because it's back, baby. Guess what? It's cool again. Fascism's so hot right now. He was not wrong. I think he was very good in a small part. I did laugh when he said, "You're not a bad looking guy," to Mr. Garrison, because true dat. Kevin Costner, he could have had all this. Actually, he could still have all this.
He's handsome.
He's a handsome man.
Yes.
What else? Oh, a bunch of stuff about Oswald defecting to Russia, like married a Russian woman, sharing classified information. He defected to Russia. There's a whole thing about like, then he comes back to America. The State Department like gives him a new passport. They give him money to travel with, which is, by the way, if I went to Russia and came back, I don't think they would give me a new passport and money to travel with.
No.
So that is one of their, that's one of their things that they start like focusing on because it seems like maybe Oswald was working for the government. And again, they start interviewing all kinds of witnesses from the assassination. So we get Vincent D'Onofrio, young Vincent D'Onofrio, like talking about how he heard shots from like a fence, from the grassy knoll. They interview all these different people. What else happens? These women talk about how the agents like bullied them into saying they only heard 3 shots when they heard more. I thought that was actually really, really interesting. And
I liked that too. And that convinces me. Like, I think that's true. I believe them.
And
the lady in the red coat.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And there was I watched a little bit of the JFK Revisited documentary, and there are more interviews with these women. All of them confirming the ones in the book depository and the women out on the field, all of them talking about how the agents like bullying them into confirming the story they want to be told.
And they
super
also
interesting.
And they're also the documentary that's on Paramount is of the doctors at Parkland Hospital.
Yes.
And like they had his body there, and they were like, this was the best place for it to happen because they do trauma surgery all the time. So they were all set to go.
Yes.
Like, and they just got his body out of there like toot sweet. They just had him gone.
And there's all kinds of
a lot of shady shit.
Yeah. And there in those documentaries, there's also a lot of arguing amongst the doctors about entrance wounds and exit wounds and like all this stuff. That's not even got into in the movie, but it's in these different documentaries. I mean, there's
back to the left.
Back and to the left. There's so much stuff in this movie. And then we get the Zapruder film comes out, and that confirms that there was 3 shots in 5.6 seconds, and they like reenact it, and they have like this guy he can't do it. Like, it's like damn near impossible for him to do it, and he's not even aiming. So that's another thing that convinces them. I did love the casting of Jim Garrison as the Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren. That's pretty funny. Years later, when they make The People versus Larry Flint, they'll cast Larry Flint as a judge in his own case. Like, that kind of shit entertains me. There's also a whole thing about Tommy Lee Jones' character is Clay Shaw, but he used to go by Clay Bertrand. Apparently that's a big deal. I don't know. Again, there's just so much.
There's so much. And then you get, I don't know why, I do enjoy this movie.
I do too, by the way. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on it. I actually, again, it's kind of a beautiful mess. It's like...
Yeah. It's just trying to make sense of all these different pieces.
Yes.
And all these pieces of information. And then we're supposed to be laid clear to us by Donald Sutherland. Once again, my favorite part of the movie.
Yes.
I think it's really well done. And it's like, wow, that sounds really logical. But supposedly 80% of that is total bullshit. Yeah. But even that, I'm like, I'm still confused. Like, he would say all that to me, and I'd just be like, oh, okay. Like, because I don't know. I don't know where we are anymore. Like, is it the CIA? Is it the mafia? Why would they work together?
It's because black is white and white is black. Up is down.
Yeah,
down is up.
The looking glass, people.
Yeah, and we get a whole other, and then we get another whole sequence like Sissy Spacek going, you care more about Kennedy than your family, and the kid is like, Daddy never keeps his promises. And like, it's like, lots of Garrison and his team arguing about things. I'm always happy to see Laurie Metcalf show up. She's like the one woman on his team. And there was a scene where like, she's like, this is all bullshit. And like Garrison's all, please watch your mouth. And then 5 seconds later, the men are swearing and he says nothing. And I was like, nice touch. Nice touch. Like, that went unnoticed by me in 91. But now I'm like, asshole. And then people start dying. So then David Ferry dies. Some other witnesses they're dying. So that looks suspicious. And then we meet Donald Sutherland's character X, who I looked up might have been based on someone named Leroy Fletcher Prouty, who was chief of special operations for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Say that fast, under JFK, and he implicates like everyone: the CIA, the mafia, the FBI, President Johnson. They're all involved, and it's a really long speech. He delivers it really well because he's Donald fucking Sutherland, and he's
right.
dope.
I'm working on a project right now, and I have to storytell with it. And my biggest fear is I'm going to sound like Donald Sutherland. Not because he doesn't sound good.
Yes.
I'm worried that people are going to be like, what the fuck did she just talk about? Like, because to me, all of it's important.
Yeah.
It's figuring out, what are the most important aspects here? What's the most believable parts of this? When you mention everything, I get overwhelmed by it.
Yeah. And I think this is where I'm of two minds about the movie. Like I said earlier, I was like, sometimes the movie's up its own ass, and it's like and the directing gets in the way of the story, right? Because I'm like, which one of these should we be focusing on? But I also am like, well, maybe that's the point, is that there was so much information, and they are trying to they're going through all this shit trying to find the truth, and they are overwhelmed, and it's a lot. And we feel that watching the movie, like, this is a lot. Like, how do you even confirm these things? So we kind of feel it. And so maybe that's the point. But the other part of me is like, I would have preferred a little bit more of a focused story so I could have understood it a little better. That's all.
Is that too much to ask?
Is that too much to ask?
Because supposedly the script has footnotes. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah,
it's a Wikipedia page after a while. It's like, I've tried to read the Wikipedia page.
Yes.
And they explain the plot. It's like, I still don't understand. It's just that much information that you're trying to polish. And yeah, I don't know, like, what, and then it's like, well, what part is bullshit and what part, was he an expert marksman? Doesn't that mean he could have? Yeah, I just don't think he did it alone. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, and
I bet it's Woody Harrelson's father. That's the whole thing.
Or it's Ted Cruz's father.
Oh, I wish.
For people who don't know, our gross former president, Trump, would say on the campaign trail that Ted Cruz's father was involved in killing JFK. And people are like, sure, that could be a thing. It's not a thing. And then
called his wife ugly. Yeah. And he still supports him.
Yeah.
That's a whole other.
He's such a fucking pussy. Ted Cruz is fucking gross.
Yeah.
What was I going to what was I going to say? It's a mess. Oh, also, again, I'm of two minds. Like, sometimes I see a movie and I'm like, ooh, this has inspired me, and I'll read all the shit after, and we'll talk about it on the show. And I'm like, I love a movie that gives me a lot to talk about and to dig into and to think about. I love that. Then the other part of me is like, ugh, I shouldn't have to do homework after your movie to understand it. So again, I'm all over the place, just like this movie.
And you find a lot of their documentaries are all over the place.
Yes.
I mean, and it's such a messy story.
Yes. So
and that's the thing.
So there is, oh yeah, okay, I already mentioned that there's just does daddy love us anymore? At one point, a kid actually says, I hate it when mommy and daddy fight, which is
lazy writing.
It's a fucking
worst writing.
So
go to writer's jail for that.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's like when people say we're not in Kansas anymore. It's like thumbs down.
I saw a movie the other day where a person was washing their hair and they have soap all up in their eyes, and then somebody takes a picture. And it's like, we've all figured out as adults how to wash our hair. But it's such a movie trope. You know what they do? Oh, it's like splurk, all that all over my face and in my eyes. What?
Oh my God.
It's showering.
It's showering. You've been doing it for a long time. You have it pretty dialed in by the time you're an adult. So like such a movie thing. Oh my, we could do a whole episode about shit you only see in the movies.
Please. My friend's a scriptwriter. She's worked on many shows, and she says like they have a wall of stuff.
Yes.
And you get in trouble for 'em. And one of the big ones is somebody checks their watch and says, "Oh wait, we got to go." It's like,
or people who don't say goodbye on the phone.
right.
Oh my God, so good.
All right, see you at the store.
Yeah.
Oh.
Click. Oh.
Click.
Are they mad at me? Why'd they just?
Or cars that don't have a rear view mirror.
Yes.
Because they want to get all the actors in the shot. And then I'm like, they're gonna crash.
You're gonna get a ticket.
Yeah.
And then they find a spot right in front of wherever they're going. So don't worry, the family stuff gets fixed because RFK gets killed, and then Garrison tells his wife, and she's like, "I totally believe you now," and then they fuck. So everything's fine. So hot when leaders get assassinated. I get it.
We all react differently.
We all look. Some of us get sad. Some of us get horny.
I have a person in history I met. She was from Indianapolis, and when there's a very famous scene where in the news, like in history, where RFK talks to a group of people and said that Martin Luther King was shot.
Yes.
She was like 2 feet away when that happened.
Oh my God.
And she's like in all the news clips and stuff like that. She was a teenager, and she was working in Indianapolis on the campaign trail.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It must have been really fucking scary. Like,
terrifying.
Like that JFK gets killed, Martin Luther King gets killed, RFK gets killed, Malcolm X gets killed. Like, that must have been really fucking scary. That like every time you speak out,
right,
somebody's getting killed. Jesus.
It keeps you cautious. It keeps you captive. It keeps you quiet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So eventually it goes, Garrison's like, I'm charging Clay Shaw with this conspiracy of killing the president. And we get, the court stuff. And that's where we get the magic bullet theory, which I think kind of single-handedly proves there was more than one gunman. It's like 8 wounds, 2 bullets. It's this, and the scene has been spoofed like a million times. Like famously Seinfeld.
Famously Seinfeld, the loogie that goes out. But I have to say, it was very effective in the movie theater.
Yes.
I remember that's one of the moments in the movie theater where people were like, oh my God, you're right.
Yes, it's really, really well done. And then they go through the footage, which again, a lot of us had not seen. Now you can just go on YouTube and watch that Zapruder film. But like a lot of us hadn't seen it at that point. So seeing that footage repeatedly and close up is pretty fucking disturbing. And the autopsy photos are really fucking gruesome. Again, like that kind of stuff wasn't shown. Even the people like me and you who are watching like fucking Dateline and Unsolved Mysteries and shit like that, you didn't see autopsy photos like that. It's really fucked up.
No, and it's I mean, nowadays they're like, of course, there's like places on the web and Reddit subspaces.
Shit, Calvin
like
probably watches that. It's probably on fucking Sesame Street now. Like, it's like nothing. They totally would cover true crime on Sesame Street now.
Snuffleupagus is on a
yes, exactly,
gurney.
on a slab, back and to the left
with a toe tag.
Poor Snuffleupagus. That would be so awful.
That used to make me crazy when I was a kid when nobody could see him except Big Bird.
Yes.
And do you remember that? And
yes.
That was the whole thing. And then like, Mr. Hooper would show up and they'd be like, and who are you talking to, Big Bird? He's like, it was a Snuffleupagus. And I'd be screaming across the room, he's right behind you.
And then they finally made it so that everybody could see him because because it was teaching kids that adults won't believe you if you tell them things. That's why. It was very interesting. Deep dive on Sesame Street. Not something you were expecting in the JFK episode.
That's just how messy this movie is. It's hard to stay focused.
It is. And the trial stuff, like, again, there's like super interesting shit in here about like all the different shots that were fired. He goes through a whole scenario of what he thinks it probably really looked like. It's all super interesting. Does it prove that Clay Shaw was involved? Not at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So when they acquit him, that makes sense because they did not prove that Clay Shaw was remotely involved in this. But it does make a good case for that Lee Harvey Oswald maybe didn't act alone. And Costner, he gives one of those great closing monologues that you expect in courtroom movies about, don't forget your dying king. And he's all choked up and does a whole thing where he says it's up to you. And he looks like right at the camera when he says it. It's very dramatic. But still,
the jury says no thanks.
Yeah, and the jury's like, it's up to us to acquit this guy. Thumbs down. They vote against him. Within an hour, by the way, they deliberated for 1 hour, and they're like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go to lunch." We don't buy it, and then like Garrison's like, "I'm walking out of there with his family." Like, that's fine, whatever. I'll keep fighting. Who's your favorite performance in the movie? What's your favorite performance in the movie, I should say?
I do like Kevin Costner.
Me too.
Laurie Metcalf is great. Oh, she's always good.
Yeah.
Bacon is great.
Yeah.
Bacon really brings it. He brings the bacon. And I do like John Candy just because he's so goofy.
I want to see that movie so bad.
Oh, and Donald Sutherland. Sorry.
Yes.
Donald Sutherland's great.
There's
absolutely great.
So many good performances in this movie. The only person nominated, I believe, is Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, they had to put gold paint on him, and
yes.
There's that whole scene.
Yeah. So actually,
weird orgy scene.
Yeah, there's this weird orgy scene. It's not a way you expect to see Tommy Lee Jones ever, because this is before Tommy Lee Jones is like, I don't think
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive, has that even come out yet? No.
I think The Fugitive is 93.
Yeah, and Men in Black and all of that. You would I feel like you would never see Tommy Lee Jones in this kind of role after The Fugitive. Like,
no, because he got the Oscar for that, right?
Yes.
Or he became a big star anyway.
Yes, he became a very big star after that. And then we decided we were going to make Tommy Lee Jones an action hero. Dude's like 70 or something. Like,
yeah,
jumping over volcanoes and saving Anne Heche. Like, it's a whole thing. I love it. Let's see what else. I think that, well, we went through everything in the movie. That's the plot. It makes perfect sense. Do you want to say anything else about the conspiracies of JFK? You watched all those different documentaries.
I do, and I'm always waiting for the one that'll make me go, aha,
yeah.
Yes, that's it. And I don't know if that'll ever happen, which kind of bums me out.
Yeah.
I know a few years ago when Trump was in office, there were some papers released.
Yeah.
But I don't think it just blows my mind how someone could be shot like that, in the middle of us. Have you been to Dealey Plaza? Have you ever been to Dallas?
I have not.
I've been there, and, the fact that it was so out in the open with all these people around, and we're still debating.
Yes.
What happened. I think it's just that eternal mystery is interesting.
Yeah.
And kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those things we debate.
Like the JonBenet Ramsey.
Yes. There you go.
Seriously.
There you go. So you did say that at one point James Woods wanted to play Garrison. Oliver Stone wanted him to play David Ferry, the Joe Pesci role, which he probably would have been really good in. But I really like I think Joe Pesci is doing a thing, and I really like what he's doing. So I'm picking up what Joe Pesci's putting down in this movie. I like it.
Whatever he's selling, I'm buying.
Yes, exactly. Oliver Stone also he approached like Willem Dafoe at one point, and I was like, Willem Dafoe would have fucking killed it. And he also thought about John Malkovich, and I was like, sure, that could have been a thing. I guess he also wanted Marlon Brando maybe for the Donald Sutherland part, which
you would have to have cue cards all over the place.
Yeah. Honestly, he would have been
remember a sentence at that point.
He would have been too distracting, and it would have made it even more confusing.
With a bucket on top of his head.
Yeah, no shit.
And a little person.
Standing next to him. Fucking. Like his face, he's like, for some reason, he's dressed like a fucking clown, or like, who knows? Marlon Brando was off his fucking rocker by this point. There was, before they cast Costner, they also thought about maybe Mel Gibson, and I'm like, gross. Yeah. And then Harrison Ford, and I was like, Harrison Ford probably would have been great. Like,
he would have been really good too.
But I do love Costner in this one.
There's something everyman about Costner.
Yes.
That's yeah.
Yes. Anything else we want to say about JFK?
Nope.
Okay. It was nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and I thought maybe we could go through some of the other nominees.
Let's do it.
Okay. So JFK was nominated for Best Picture. It'll be no surprise here what the winner is. The other movies were The Prince of Tides.
I don't like The Prince of Tides, do you?
No, I think it's a fucking bummer.
It's a huge ass bummer.
I mean, JFK is a huge bummer too, but Prince of Tides is not one that I want to watch over and over.
You don't revisit.
No.
I don't think.
Also nominated Bugsy. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Beauty and the Beast.
Great movie.
That one, that one's beautiful to look at. And then the winner was Silence of the Lambs, which we have done an episode on.
Yep.
One of my favorite movies. So good. Oliver Stone was nominated for Best Director. Jonathan Demme won for Silence of the Lambs. Also nominated John Singleton for Boys in the Hood.
Good movie.
Good movie. Barry Levinson for Bugsy. And then Ridley Scott for Thelma and Louise. Fucking love Thelma and Louise. We both do. We did an episode on that one. We did an episode. Let's see. Kevin Costner was not nominated, so we can just skip that. Best Supporting Actor, Tommy Lee Jones was nominated. Also nominated Michael Lerner for Barton Fink. I like Barton Fink.
I remember enjoying Barton. Yeah, I enjoy that movie.
Yeah, I like Coen Brother movies. Even when they're like not my favorite, at least they're entertaining. Yeah. Ben Kingsley for Bugsy. I don't even remember Ben Kingsley.
That movie got a lot more. I mean, it's fine, but everybody's a bit too old for the part they're playing.
Yeah, Harvey Keitel was also nominated for Bugsy.
Who's he in Bugsy?
Mickey Cohen.
Oh, okay.
And then the winner, Jack Palance for City Slickers.
Is that where he did the push-up?
Yes. Oh gosh,
he was great in City Slickers, by the way, and I love City Slickers.
Yeah,
I think it's a great movie.
We should absolutely talk about City Slickers sometime. That would be super fun.
Yeah.
Was it nominated for screenplay? Yes, it was. Best screenplay based on previously published material. The winner, obviously, Silence of the Lambs. The other movies were Europa. I've never seen it. Fried Green Tomatoes.
Great movie.
And The Prince of Tides.
Yeah, never read it. Never seen it.
And then
I mean, I've seen it, but I never read it.
Yeah, and then let's see where else. Oh, score. The winner was Beauty and the Beast. Bugsy was nominated. The Fisher King, your favorite.
Oh boy,
she has a whole story about the Fisher King and how she was like, no thanks, basically. Also, The Prince of Tides was. It makes sense that Beauty and the Beast won. It's an animated movie. Those usually do very well in music categories. But John Williams did the score for JFK, and John Williams wins a shit ton of awards.
You know what? But Beauty and the Beast was a total turning point in Disney history. Yes. It's one of the best things they've put out. And they had like a few schlocky films in the 80s, and this was them returning back to their magic. Like, those songs are great.
Yes.
It's a really great movie.
Yeah, a couple of years before, they did The Little Mermaid, And that one was also like like every song from The Little Mermaid was nominated for an Oscar. But it was after Beauty and the Beast that they introduced the idea of a Best Animated Film category, which I have mixed emotions about. Part of me is like, they should be able to compete in the Best Picture category, but that's fine. It's fine. Let's see. Sound. The winner was Terminator 2.
T2.
Have we done T2? We haven't.
No, we have not, and that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that's a good summer episode. We should do that.
Yeah.
Have we done Backdraft?
I would love to do Backdraft.
Oh my God, we need to do Backdraft. I have a feeling Adam Risky would like to talk about Backdraft with us. We should ask him. Also nominated Beauty and the Beast, Silence of the Lambs, and JFK, but again, the winner was Terminator 2. Let's see. What else? I'm going through. Surprisingly, it's not nominated for Best Makeup. I mean, all that gold paint they used for the orgy, I feel like it should have been.
The hair was amazing.
Should have been nominated. I mean, just for Joe Pesci alone, it should have been nominated. It did win for Best Film Editing. Oh, over here in the Best Film Editing, also nominated The Commitments.
I love The Commitments.
Fucking love The Commitments. We haven't talked about The Commitments yet. We will someday.
We should do it in March.
That's a great idea. Let's do that. Also, Silence of the Lambs, Terminator 2, and Thelma and Louise. And JFK did win for Best Cinematography. And Bugsy was nominated again. Come on, Bugsy's not that great. Come on. Prince of Tides. It's probably beautiful to look at. I don't remember. Terminator 2, yeah. And Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise is fucking dope. And that's all the Oscar nominations.
Do you want to hear the top 10 songs for when this movie came out? December 20th, 1991?
I can't wait.
It's amazing. Number 10, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, Wild Side. I don't even remember that one.
I don't even remember. All I remember is Good Vibrations. Oh, Wild Side is their remake of Take a Walk on the Wild Side. Oh, that one.
Lou Reed beat the shit out of them for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hammer, not MC Hammer, just Hammer.
Yeah.
Too Legit.
Yeah, that song is still dope. Love that song.
Number 8, one of the best songs of all time, Cece Peniston, Finally.
Oh my God, that's such a good song.
Oh. Number 7, Paula Abdul, Blowing Kisses in the Wind.
I totally don't remember that song, and I loved Paula Abdul.
Blowing kisses in the wind.
Don't remember.
No, it's not great. Mariah Carey, Can't Let Go.
I remember every Mariah Carey song because that album was huge.
Talk about a huge album. Number 5, Michael Bolton, When a Man Loves a Woman. My mother would play this over and over again, drove my father crazy.
The theater,
she loved
yes.
Michael Bolton.
I was working at the movie theater in 91, and each movie theater had a CD player to play music in between the movies. This is before we just started putting commercials in theaters. And one of the auditoriums had the Michael Bolton CD. I've heard it so many fucking times.
Oh, my mother could listen to something just ad nauseum.
Yes.
Like to really a ridiculous degree. Repetition didn't bother her at all. Number 4, let's bring it back. PM Dawn, Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
Oh, that song was inescapable.
Amazing.
Yes.
Number 3, Color Me Bad, All for Love.
That band, they did I Wanna Sex You Up.
And none of them looked like they wanted to sex anybody.
No, they didn't. I didn't feel sexed up.
Number 2, the song gives me the feels. Boys to Men, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. Oh, that video.
It's so sad.
With Jim Henson.
It's so sad.
And then number 1, Michael Jackson, Black or White.
Oh my God. That movie, the video was like one of the first videos that had like that like morphine effect in it. That video was bizarre. It also had like Macaulay Culkin in it and like Norm from Cheers. It was such a weird video.
It went on for like 15 minutes.
Yes.
There's a whole pre-show and then the song itself. And yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, Michael got very cheesy.
Yeah, he did. What else are you dorking out about, my friend?
I saw Oppenheimer this weekend.
Oh, here we go.
I saw Die Hard. It's my usual Thanksgiving. I watch the dog show.
Yes.
I go out for Thanksgiving. I come home. I watch Die Hard. And then Oppenheimer. So I decided to give it a go.
Yes.
I fell asleep in the middle of it. And I was on the couch and real cozy.
Yeah.
So I think I bought the movie. So I played it again.
Yes.
And then I woke up and I missed it again.
They should put the movie on the call map.
They really should put this on the call map. I should put this on my Kindle when I can't sleep because it just puts me to sleep. I think the performances I saw were good, but it was just a lot of like Matt Damon and a lot of Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name? Him just looking very hungry and tired.
He does look so hungry and tired.
Just like exhausted.
Yeah. Again, like, I think you could see why I thought of JFK when I watched it. Like,
yeah, it's messy.
It's very messy. I'm in a minority on this one. I feel like this movie is people fucking love it, and it's probably gonna be nominated for and win a ton of shit. I thought it was all right. Like, I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I like it. All right. I think everyone in it is good. I think there's some weird choices with Florence Pugh in this movie that I wouldn't have liked.
Yeah.
A lot of unnecessary nudity on her part that, I don't know, bums me out. It feels gratuitous and unnecessary, and I don't like it. Basically. Emily Blunt's really good in it.
Yeah, I mean, but there's look, I'm a woman. If I don't have a woman I can relate to, it's hard for me to become engaged in the movie. And I just feel like the very act of what they're creating and what they're doing, and I understand like the world being in the state that it was and the decisions that were made, but do they even show the bomb? I mean, I once again, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
Well, they don't show the impact of what that bomb did to people, which I think was by choice. I think there was a reason they don't do that, because the movie is called Oppenheimer. They're talking about him. But again, the movie was just, it felt all over the place to me. It felt a little up its own ass. Very self-important. Like,
very much so. I thought
it's not
Robert
for
Downey
me.
Jr.'s great.
Yeah.
Matt Damon always works for me. He's always fine. I mean, I think it's a great cast. I think it looks great.
Yes.
But I think morally speaking, like the things that I don't know if they're, once again, I should be clear. I fell the fuck asleep because I had way too much pie and wine and cheese in me that I'm still paying for. But anyway, so there was that. Then I saw on Netflix the Twin Flames documentary, and I know what a creep podcast crew people are talking about it, especially the husband in that duo being a massive asshole.
They're both assholes, but fuck that guy. That's another one where I'm just like, him?
Yeah.
Him? Like that. Ugh.
And then on HBO Max. Love Has Won, and it's the cult of Mother God.
Oh, I haven't started that one yet. It's on my list.
It's another cult, yet another cult.
I can't help myself. I will watch it.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to. And it's so recent because the things that they're QAnon stuff. It's this group that follows this woman who calls herself Mother God, and everybody calls her Mother. And even though she's younger than everybody, they all call her Mother. And their whole thing is no sleeping and no eating.
Ew, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's the worst cult ever.
I love those things.
They like to get high but not eat. I'm like, well, what's that about? And and then she takes this silver bromide. It's some sort of, it's instead of course going to doctors, they don't do. They take all these different kinds of things that to be medicine. This woman basically dies of anorexia and alcoholism.
Oh my God.
And then it becomes Weekend at Bernie's because they take her body.
Oh my God. Well, now I definitely need to watch it.
And she's like, looks like she has like a blue or silverish hue.
Oh my God.
Because she took so much silver.
What the fuck?
And then they have a board, and they're like, these are the people on our board, and they put people that are alive. They like Trump on there. They have Jesus on this board, and they're saying Jesus says this, and they have Robin Williams on there, and they're like, Robin Williams says you need to weigh 103 pounds if you're going to make it to heaven. So everybody's starving themselves because they think. I'm not kidding you. I watched it twice to make sure I knew I was going to talk about with you. It's fucking bananas.
This is,
and it's a true story.
True story. I don't understand this, but I can't wait to watch it.
It's just people that it's very modern in that, like, it's people that after 2008 when they had the housing crash, the market crash, and these people are like, fuck it. Why even save money? Why do anything? It's all fake. It's all phony. And they all kind of get together and people live stream these sermons, and these people live 24/7. And Mother is like getting thinner and sicker by the minute, but nobody takes her to, they call it level 5 or 3D, 5D. That's what they call the hospital, and they don't take her there. And so she's getting sicker and sicker. And like I said, it becomes Weekend at Bernie's. They're just like carrying her body around Colorado. I'm like, oh my God.
I want to join the cult that is just sleeping and eating.
Can we have that? Let's normalize that.
Where's that Netflix documentary? I look forward to that one. I would watch the shit out of that. I've yet to see a cult documentary where I was like, that makes sense. I get how people can get sucked into that.
They require you, and it starts with everybody loves you, and then it's like, give us all your money. Now bug everybody in your family for money.
Yes.
Now start washing floors. You know what I mean? Like it's this quick slide into being in demeaning places.
Yeah.
But and they're all young. They're very, very young. These people are like in their 20s and 30s, and they're just like completely. There's a couple of women that are in their 60s, and they're a couple of wackos. But it's anyway. And if I could talk about my other show for just a sec. But for Book versus Movie, we just did an episode. I'm going to post it tonight. We just covered Home for the Holidays, which is Holly Hunter, Robert Downey Jr. I haven't seen this movie in years, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll check it out then, because it shows up on lists all the time as like a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it since the theater, so I will rewatch.
It was a good rewatch, and I'm definitely, like, I was in my 20s when it came out, so I'm, I just look at it differently, Thanksgiving differently than I do.
Yeah.
That I did then, but it does feature seeing Robert Downey Jr. just has a Polaroid camera, and he's just constantly taking pictures of people, and he's high out of his mind. You could totally tell, like, he's tweaking.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where Holly Hunter's taking a shower, and she seriously puts soap in her eyes, and he takes a picture.
She
of
doesn't
her.
have it. Doesn't have it locked in yet. Still learning how to shower.
Is this soap or is it not? Do I just gargle it? What do I do with this thing? I'll just pour it on my face.
I need to lather, rinse, and repeat.
What?
So weird.
So weird. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. I only really have one thing, and I'm going to mispronounce his name. Mike Birbiglia?
Birbiglia?
Yes, thank you. His new Netflix special is on, it's called The Old Man in the Pool. It's so fucking good.
Oh, I love his stuff.
Yes, like, I love it so much. I'm probably going to rewatch it. He's such an amazing storyteller. Like, he's so good at telling his stories, and there are jokes, but it's very thoughtful as well about like mortality and our health and what we should be doing for ourselves to take care of ourselves. There's a running joke because he goes to the doctor and they are telling him that like they're like, breathe in this tube, and he does it, and they're like, okay, breathe in the tube, and he's like, I did. Like, and they're like, that's weird. And he realizes he needs to start taking care of himself, and they're like, you should be doing cardio 5 times a day. And he's like, five times a week. And he's like, nobody does cardio 5 times a week. And they're like, yes, they do. He's like, professional athletes probably don't do cardio 5 times a week. And they're like, I'm pretty sure they do. And it's just like his journey to like trying to take care of himself for the, because he needs to, but also for like his daughter and things like, it's very sweet, but it's also very, very funny. I was just blown away. I need to go back and like watch his older specials because this one is just, it's so great. It's so good. He
had one called Sleepwalk with Me.
Yes.
He had a sleepwalking issue. Like he crashed through a hotel window or something. Yeah. Yeah. He also has this great story I love. He and his brother were at a baseball Hall of Fame kind of luncheon. And I don't want to screw up the punchline, but basically Dennis Eckersley is a real dick. And you don't find out till the end of the story, but it's like the way he builds it up, you're like, it's so funny. He's so great.
I need to rewatch these. I need to see these old specials because this one was the first one I've watched. I've seen him in like movies and I've heard him on other podcasts, but this was the first special I watched. And it's just so well done, like perfectly constructed. He's so hilarious. I was just very, very impressed. So I'll
definitely watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Highly recommend. Do we want to talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? These fucking women, they're...
We were talking about this at Thanksgiving, and even my friend's husband is hooked on the show now.
Yes, because it's very entertaining.
It's so entertaining. These women, so they're at one point. We'll just say this: there's at one point where they have to have these get-togethers, and so they decide like it's Pioneer Week, and in the Mormon church, that's a big deal. And so they dress up like Holly Hobby, like they wear these like Little House on the Prairie outfits, and one of the women, Angie, has these obnoxious pink sunglasses that she wears for everything, and she's got that under the bonnet. They're churning butter in their hands, like they're churning a thing of butter. And then Angie and Lisa are having an argument, and they're the dumbest, meanest people ever. And they're having an argument with each other. And there's one point where Lisa says, "Oh, just keep saying my name because you love my voice. My voice comes out of your mouth all the time." And then she goes, "Oh no, I really
hate your voice." Like I was like, you're fucking children. You are children.
But it made me laugh so stupid hard because it was so ridiculous.
I actually laughed when they are churning the butter and they're basically shaking this jar of milk or whatever, and it's very obvious what it looks like. It looks like they're all giving hand jobs, and Heather says like, "You've done this for more than 6 minutes before, ladies." Like, it's fine. It's just they're all like, they just love to fucking fight, and that's why they're on Real Housewives. I know this, but there's other times where I'm like, what are you bitches doing? So at some point, like Heather and Monica talk about how they're going to organize a trip and they're all going to go to Bermuda. Like they don't have Jen Shaw on the show anymore. They can finally use their passports and like go on a trip together.
They couldn't leave the States.
Yes.
Because one of the women was arrested
yes,
on trial.
They're going to go to Bermuda. It's going to be fun. We're going to announce it together. So you need to Heather tells Monica, like, you need to work it out with Lisa so that we can all go on this trip. And Monica's like, I will. And then they sit down for their lunch, and Heather's like, okay, let's play a game. Who would you throw off your wagon? And I'm like, you're such a stupid bitch, Heather. Like, you want them to make up by picking a game where you know everyone's going to get into a fight. Like, it's just so fucking dumb.
They constantly, it's like, those, Cards of Humanity or whatever.
Yes.
Like they're constantly giving these women like, okay, at the table, 2 truths and a lie, or this, and it's just to make it happen. But yeah, Lisa Barlow is a fascinating person because I think like on the one hand, she's very attractive and seems to have all of her shit together. And she's a very popular at Sundance. She's like a hostess.
I'm the queen of Sundance.
I'm the queen of Sundance. But she's also New York Mormon, so like she doesn't go to church and she owns a tequila company, but her son's going on a mission.
It's super weird.
And she's thrilled about it, but he's going to Colombia and then she thinks he's going to get robbed every day. But she's also so childish, like she literally cannot not have the last word.
Yes.
So she just keeps going and going and going. And it's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, she's a perfect housewife.
Yes.
She really is. And I say this all the time. God grant me the confidence of Lisa Barlow. Like, she just, I think it was last season where she was like roller skating and eating ice cream. And I was like, I would never have the confidence to roller skate and eat ice cream. Like, I would 100% fall and that ice cream would be smashed in my face and I would break my elbows. So, but she's very confident and believes, I don't know, she believes everything she says about herself. I don't have that confidence. She's such a great housewife.
But it's entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, she's almost all of them are terrible people. but they're very entertaining. But again, it's just purposely setting it up so they'll fight when you're trying to like get them to make up so you could go on your fucking trip is one of the dumbest things I've seen in a while. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I think that's all I had on my list, unless we want to talk about Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which I recently rewatched with my son. And that movie is this fucking batshit. And
it's not my fave. I know a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
Some people say they like it even more than the first one, but I don't know.
It's the exact same movie. It's the exact same movie. Calvin and I watched it together. He thinks it's hilarious. He in particular loves Daniel Stern because his character's so dumb. And he just gets the shit beat out of him in that second movie. Like, there's a whole scene where, like, Macaulay Culkin, Kevin McAllister's throwing bricks off the building, and just every single one hits Daniel Stern in the fucking face. Like, over and over and over, to the point where it's so... I thought Calvin was going to poop his pants. He was laughing so hard. And then he's like, when it was over, he's asked if we could watch the first one, but only just started at the part where they break into the house. He just wants to watch them get the shit beat out of them. And I was like, absolutely. So we start the first one. And I will say every single time I watch Home Alone, I laugh really, really hard when Macaulay Culkin puts that spider on Daniel Stern's face. And he screams like a woman, like, ah! I am a child is what I'm saying. I think it's funny every time. Okay. That's all on my list. My friend, where can they find you on the internet? That's where I was going. I was like, what are we talking about? Oh, yes. Where can they find you on the internet, my friend?
I'm at Brooklyn Margot for Blue Sky, for Threads. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it all together. And yes. TikTok. And I have some clips on TikTok.
Yeah, you do.
Of Joe Pesci. Yeah, stuff like that. And then I'm at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's my site. And that's where I am for Instagram, Threads. And that's where I am for X, Twitter, whatever they call it, until that burns to the ground. That's where you can find me.
Okay. And if you like the sound of our voices, we also co-host What a Creep, where we talk about creeps of the past and the present. Maybe Oliver Stone will show up on there someday because he's done some things. Our episode out right now is a replay of our Keith Raniere episode with some updates about that and Russell Brand because he's a garbage person. Please sign up for that one. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on all the things, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Blue Sky. I wish we could all pick one. Could we all pick one that we want to be on? Because Twitter is basically True Social at this point. Can we all decide if we want to be on Threads or Blue Sky?
I can invest my time there better. I know it's tough to figure out.
I know, because there's still like people on Twitter that aren't on the others yet, and so I find myself going there just to see their stuff. And anyway, you can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com and Dorking Out Show on all the other social media platforms that I just mentioned. If you want to leave us a review, that would be delightful, and we'll mention you on the show. And you can email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. Give us your address. We'll send you some stickers. They're super cute. You just slap them on your laptop. And we take requests. So if you want to have a movie that you would love to hear us dork out about, send it our way because we love a request.
But make sure it's streaming.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's some really good movies out there that aren't available on streaming. So just double check that.
And what's that about? Come on.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? Back and to the left.
Back and to the left.